black students, we need to know our history.
The black history we're being taught in public schools is repetitive.
As a black high school student, I want to learn more about my history in the school books.
We need to update our books.
As black American students, we deserve an accurate depiction of what black history truly is.
I want to see myself in these textbooks.
In the public school system, black history is vague.
Why don't the school books ever talk about the Freedmen's Bureau?
I created the workbook for the African American family. This book helps fill in the gaps that the school books don't. Purchase the workbook for the African American family on OurStoryPublications.com and use the Cash App $ Our Story Publications.
Go ahead, PM. What's on your mind?
I was going to talk about why gold is valuable. If y'all, I'm pretty sure y'all have heard the story of like the Anunnaki or whatever. Really, the gold is like it's a superconductor, and it's like it's not that story is directly 100% true, but it got a lot of truth to it. Like if you ever wore gold jewelry, it just give you a feeling. And people, it's not coming from the material ideal of it. It's definitely coming from like a vibration. And slick, like if you look at our bodies with a telescope, you can see right through it. Not telescope, microscope. You can see right through it. So we vibrate in any way. We're not even together. So we just harmonize our vibration and make you stronger. And I'm just saying, like, they're harvesting the gold to, like, be able to easily drain all of our power, our emotional strength, and to give them power and vigor to do whatever they want to do.
Now, they said they needed the gold because their atmosphere was jacked up and they needed to,
but that's not it.
In there.
They use the gold to keep everybody attention. But, yeah, that's the story of the Anunnaki. But, they using the gold.
Now, let's go into this. Okay, so I don't believe human beings did anything with gold, that someone else was doing something with it and made us do it. So does anyone know of something that regular people like us would be doing with gold? Because I've never, what would I do with it?
No, I'm saying the value for humans.
No, I'm not arguing with you. I'm just saying.
Oh, exactly.
Like these minerals that people are digging out of the ground, no one knew that they were valuable until somebody said that they were valuable.
I feel like they did know. They hold memories, right? Because that's all it's doing. So those are rocks. It's just like we're minerals, we hold memories too. I feel like, that's ancient knowledge that was already kind of held back from us. Because it's really if you just pay attention, it's obvious. So I'm saying that they're using the gold to keep all of our attention, and that's what gold do. It attract human souls and attract human attention, and they're using our intention as leverage to do whatever they want to do on this world.
Well, I think where Wani was going, and correct me if I'm wrong, Sister Wani, is what I understood Wani to say is, how did we know that the gold had all this value?
I feel like it was some set of instructions, and because I get that you maybe could have got through it through trial and error, but it's very complex because you got to smelt things, you got to do this, you got to do that. So I feel like that knowledge is universal knowledge, Akashic record knowledge, that came from some other type of influence rather than...
Exactly. What type of influence did it come from?
For sure.
Just
I feel like that
diamonds.
was whomever seeded, because if you pay attention to us, we got to stay in the womb for 10 months, bro. Nothing on this earth, comes out like us. We have to be protected for years or we'll die. Until you turn, 9, you're pretty much, slick worthless. Not literally, but, you're not going to be able to defend
yourself. You're helpless.
Helpless, excuse me. That's the right perfect word. And
Yeah, we're
not many
not
other
like a
species
zebra.
on exactly every other species on this world is not like that. It's like they come out running, you know what I'm saying? They pretty much good. So it's like we're not really of this world anyway. To even think that is like ludicrous, I feel like.
Yeah, Wani, I stumbled upon a documentary just for shits and giggles, and it had that guy in there, George Knapp, that investigative journalist that found God dang it, the name's escaping me, but he's legit. And George, I may be saying his first name wrong, but he was his Knapp, but he was trying to do a study on extraterrestrials and these sightings and the whole that gray alien thing. And he did something really smart. He went and got an anthropologist. I was like, man, I wish I could send this to Wani. But an anthropologist showed the evolutionary pattern of a Homo sapien. And he, anthropology is not my area of expertise, so correct me. But he was saying if you keep evolving, like the shape to your forehead, shapes to your eyes, he said over time, like, if you add thousands of years to us, our eyes are going to get bigger and our heads are going to get bigger. Like, and so
That's a lie. No, I'm just kidding.
I feel
that's
like
probably true.
no.
I feel like
Yeah, I wanted to ask you because I don't know anything about
I don't
that
feel
stuff.
like I don't feel like that would like happen. Just like that's my personal belief, but that comes just from like my own personal knowledge. But I don't have all the knowledge to just say that. But I don't think that happens. Just like a monkey's still a monkey and a human's a human, then it don't work like that. I'm thinking
Well,
that
they meant over thousands of years.
yeah, I know. I
If
think that we
more
I mean
technical.
we've pretty
Hold on
much
a
been
second. Hold on a
oh,
second.
I'm sorry.
They feel like if we become more technical, our brains are going to get bigger and our sex organs are going to get smaller. They're saying that if you don't use these things, they get smaller. And then if you're, thinking and doing a lot of mental work, that your brain will get bigger. I don't know why our eyes would get bigger unless we were in the dark or something. So I'm not sure. Yeah, of course we're going to change over thousands of years, but we're not going to change in just a few years. But we've changed since I've been alive.
Right. Yep.
Collectively,
I feel like
people have changed.
I feel like we've just with that logic, right? We've got new modes of transportation, just like within the last couple hundred years, right? Like people are not slowing down; they're getting faster. So I don't really think that ideal like we're gonna have big heads or this or that is like a realistic.
Yeah, we've changed since I'm an '80s baby.
No, what I was saying is like, we got better modes of transportation to where we don't really have to run as fast, but yet we still run faster.
Yeah,
Now, you see what I'm saying?
I'm an '80s baby, and since I've been alive, the body shapes have changed. Like, because kids now aren't. We were a mix. Millennials were a mix. I think we had the best period anyway, but we would go outside and play, and then go in the house and play Nintendo and Sega and shit. But now, kids don't really go outside anymore, and they just stay and they sit around playing video games and stay on the internet. And body types are changing from, I don't know. I stay in my lane of expertise. Maybe it's nutrition. I don't know. But I think going outside, being in the sun changes you in a way. But yeah, I'm not a big evolution person, but I think the body does change. I'm going to find that episode and send it to you because I'm going to say the wrong words. I want your opinion on it. They use a computer to kind of show how human bodies have evolved since we've gotten wiser, and that I don't know if that logic was a jump or if it was smooth, but they basically what he was alluding to. It was an Air Force pilot chasing. There was an instance in Arizona, very famous, of a spotting where everybody saw a bunch of unidentified craft in the air. It was like a mass sighting. It's on camera. And there was a first lieutenant Air Force pilot that was real emotional. He chased one and saw one, and the anthropologist said that could be us from 10,000 years.
Oh, I think I saw that. I think I know exactly. They covered that on Ancient Aliens, how if we evolve over thousands of years, we're going to get those changes. But again, it just depends. But back to what we were saying about the gold, the reason that I'm very suspicious that the Anunnaki are the ones who place the value on the gold is because I don't believe human beings saw the gold and were like, oh, this is valuable, because they just never did that before. They literally didn't find any of these minerals to be valuable. We know that Africans have been looking at these minerals forever, and they were known to kick very valuable minerals around. Like they were like, oh my God, this rock is in my way, move us out the way. And then some guy came along and said, that's an amethyst. It's huge. It's worth this much amount of money. But they were treating it like it was a boulder that was in the way, and they just wanted to get rid of it. So they never placed a value on amethysts or diamonds or any of these minerals. And they pretty much were making jewelry out of things that were already formed, like shells or something that was already formed in nature. So I do think someone else came along and said, hey, this is valuable. But it wasn't valuable to us because, again, what can you do with it? You can just make jewelry with it, but you have to know how to smelt and do all these other things that they didn't know how to do.
I feel like because there was this tribe, there's actually this one tribe that has like, I forget the name of the tribe, but I'm sure somebody else in here knows it. Basically, they had like astrological knowledge that they could have not possibly have gotten without like a telescope or something else. Yep, there you go. So just for them to have that knowledge, for sure, like somebody was either smart enough or got the knowledge of the smelting already. They might just didn't have the materials to make the facilitate the smelting. You know, that things come in time. Sometimes you got to build things up till you get to where you're at. Like aqueducts had to come, and then now where I got plumbing. You see what I'm saying?
Well, I saw a show years ago that kind of talked about what y'all are talking about. That really blew my mind. It had Graham Hancock in it, and they were talking about the Amazon. And the Amazon, the rainforest, there are a lot of undiscovered superstructures down there. I've been down there. And there are pyramids that we couldn't recreate today if we wanted to. There's one pyramid that during the vernal equinox or summer solstice, I get them confused, but at some point the pyramid is so aligned with the stars that it casts a shadow of a snake going. Like, how do you do that? Our archaeologists couldn't do that today. But my point in bringing this up, Graham and a biologist proved that the biggest rainforest in the world, in the Amazon, was man-made. Why? Because a large portion, like I think maybe 80% of those plants down there are either edible or medicinal. And they kind of hypothesized that place used to be a desert, and it just got seeded and turned into a paradise. And to the gentleman's point, the biologist was like, it's no way that somebody through trial and error could have put that combination of plants together. Somebody intelligently knew how to put those plants together. When you look back at those old, the diary of Pizarro and Hernando Cortez and those vicious conquistadors that went through South America, I think it was Hernando Cortez, his diary, he said he got lost on his ship and got trapped on the Amazon River. He just had to ride it out. And when they were riding through that, he said he saw superstructures, buildings and pyramids and hyper advanced, civilizations all through the Amazon. And as history,
I feel like he said that to
history tells it, the smallpox killed them off. Like they all got wiped out by disease, and the jungle grew over those structures. They're using LiDAR right now to fly over it, and they're finding all kinds of shit in the Amazon that blows our mind. But yeah, 7-4, what's on your mind?
Hi, good evening, y'all. So why is gold valuable? I want to talk about that.
Yes.
So what I know is that every civilization throughout history has valued gold. They've always put it, high in value. And I guess because it's a beautiful color, and also gold is the most malleable of metals. You know, you can hammer it and shape it into almost anything, and I guess that's why it's been seen as valuable throughout civilizations. It doesn't have a lot of objective value outside of uses in the electronic industry. In a medical industry, you know, you only need a certain amount of it to do those things. It really doesn't have a lot of value other than the subjective value we put on it. If I had to say, probably the most, the resource that has the most objective value is oil. Oil is used in everything. When anthropologists, quantify our time, you had the Bronze Age, Iron Age, and so forth. They're going to call this the oil age. If I had my choice, would I want a gold mine or all the gold mines in South Africa or the oil fields in Saudi Arabia? I want those oil fields because I can do a lot more with it than I can with gold. And with that, I yield the mic.
Well, they said that around 4000 BC, or I call it BCE, modern-day Eastern Europe archaeological evidence shows gold being used to make decorative objects. So before that, human beings did not know or care about a lot of these minerals. They just started caring about them when somebody said that these were valuable. And these people, some of these time frames some of these groups of people didn't even know how to use the gold to turn it into anything of value. But those Anunnakis, they said, we love gold. And even in the Bible, a person speaking that is claiming to be God said, the gold is good over there. Really? Why would God like gold?
Yes, Wani, and that was the motivation, ladies and gentlemen, for the discovery. Oh, I had to say the word discovery.
People like gold, that's why.
Huh?
Well, the Bible is written by people, so people like gold, and so they attribute it to God.
But they said that was God speaking when he said the gold over there is good. And I'm saying, why do you like gold? You made the planet. You made all the minerals. You can make a whole planet of gold.
I feel like because it makes you be able to use.
Hold on, PM. Hold on. What were we saying, Seven?
That's just a character in the book. Okay. Y'all know my beliefs on that.
Well, Wani, I see exactly where you're going with that. And if we want to go down that rabbit hole, let me think of how I'm going to say this. Certain families in certain European countries are said to be connected with other groups. Hopefully that wasn't too vague. Well, fuck it, I'm going to say it. The British royal family is alleged to be connected with certain groups, and all the royal families are tied in together. Let's look at Dr. Howard Zinn on page 4 of his book, People's History of the United States, when he's talking about Columbus. Columbus was chartered by the Catholic Church and Ferdinand and Isabella to go find, you guessed it, gold. According to Howard Zinn, he says, quote, because of Columbus's exaggerated reports and promises, his second expedition was given 17 ships and more than 1,200 men. The aim was clear: slaves and gold. They went from island to island in the Caribbean, taking Indians as captives. But the word spread of the Europeans' intent. They found more and more empty villages. On Haiti, they found that the sailors they left behind at Fort Navidad had been killed in battle with the Indians after they had roamed the island in gangs looking for gold and taken women and children as slaves for sex and labor. So they were motivated by gold. So who told them that they needed gold? It's not adding up. And like you said, Wani, the church was behind this, you see?
It's always the church. The church is actually just another form of monarchy formed by the same people. Pepin the Short is why they have the, and Pepin the Short was Germanic. He provided the land so that they could have what is now considered the Vatican. So they formed all of these monarchies, and the Vatican is supposed to not be a monarchy, but it is, and it functions in the same way. They're the ones running around making deals, telling people to go out and get gold. But back to that, these Anunnaki and others like them or supposedly use the monarchy as mediaries between human beings and themselves. And so they're the ones telling human beings to go out and get these minerals. These minerals are not really something that we like. What am I going to do with it? Yeah, sure, it's shiny and all that kind of thing, but how would an average human being know what to do with it? They'd have to sort it out from the dirt. They'd have to be planning to smelt it. And like I said, usually people like that would just get a shell or get something that's already formed by nature. These minerals were coveted by someone who was in touch with world leaders, the monarchy. That's why the monarchy put this value on it, because it really technically doesn't have any value to us. We weren't using it in phones. We weren't using it in the ways that we're using it now. Hey, Captain.
What's up, Captain?
What up? Somebody said oil, but they left out copper. Copper is valuable too. It's more valuable than gold, if you want to know my opinion.
Yeah, that's true. I agree with that.
Yeah, and silver is more valuable than gold, and that goes back to our question: why? What the hell are we looking for gold for? Who told us to look for gold? Yeah,
Those big-headed people, they love gold, and they messed up their atmosphere, and they told them to get it, and then that put a value on it. Even though some people may not believe in the Anunnaki, I find it strange that I just find it strange that all of a sudden the minerals that they say they need to save their planet all of a sudden become very valuable, and we have a lot of monarchies telling people to go out and get these minerals and drain all the minerals from the land, which is what they did. They drained the minerals from the land. Oil, minerals, diamonds, they put everybody up in mines and tried to work us to death.
right.
You know how, like, when a person, like even today it had an effect. Like, if somebody walk in and they just got a big-ass gold chain on it and gold watch, everybody listen to them and do what they say. It's called the control of collective effort. They're really controlling the vibrations. That's what the gold is for. I'm telling you, it's like a beacon to our minds. And we're not even if you're not, like, materialistic, even if you don't care about things like that, it still touches you.
The tip of the Great Pyramid of Giza was plated in pure gold, but the Arabs took it and made mosque out of it. But anyway, Anita, what's on your mind?
Supporting my plan.
Hey y'all, good evening. So actually, I just have a question rather than I just have a submission rather than to make a very valid statement, because what you guys are saying is very intriguing to me, because the last ruler of Kemet, what is now called Egypt, was King Pianki. King Pianki, he was the last melanated ruler of Egypt before Greek rule. And he was a Kushite, right? He was from Kush. So in his rule, in his era, that was called the Golden Age. Who told Pianki that this was the Golden Age? Who told these Kemetic people that this was called the Golden Age? And then who told Mansa Musa that he was the richest man on earth because of his gold, so to speak? Where you guys are right. What? Hello? What? How did they know?
What's interesting about that is if you study history, world history, you'll find out that a lot of leaders in the world, unrelated places like Japan, the emperor of Japan is said to have been installed by God. And you'll hear leaders say that they were ordained by God, right? And you have a lot of similarities with them, an obsession of gold. So, Wani, could they be intermediaries with another power,
Yes,
that's
they
claiming to be
say
God?
they say they rule by the divine right of the king. And they're saying that, and this is global.
Global.
In China, they say that they're part dragon because a dragon deity came down, and they claim to be related to a literal dragon. So, and I could go, world power by world power. They say that they are related to these extraterrestrials, if you will, people that don't look like us and that come from somewhere else. They say that they have their genetics and that they are ruling by divine right, and that you're not to question their rule, because you would question. It's like, who are you? Why do you get to rule us around? They have to say something. They or else you're going to look at them like, who are you? You're no better than me. Well, I'm better than you if I'm half Anunnaki. I'm better than you if I have dragon blood. If I am related to these teachers that came from another planet, then I get to rule you. So perhaps they are. We are finding some very interesting skulls that are definitely not human, and those people were ruling. And I do believe that they have needs, and some of those needs are minerals that we really don't have. Well, now we do, because we need minerals to make some of these electronics run. But prior to that, we didn't have that before. They did, because they had more technology than us. So they did need those minerals. So that's why I think that they're tipping the hat on their need for minerals, where we didn't have that need, and all of a sudden we're being told that this is valuable out of nowhere.
And another thing, had you guys heard the theory that the Moors were the ones that told Columbus there was gold over on this side of the hemisphere? This is why they were with him in his travels.
Oh yeah, history. That's a historical fact that when Columbus, who was claimed to be an orphan, he was on the ships with those with some Moors. He worked in the shipyard in where was it? Wani, was it Portugal? I forget where, but
I'm not sure.
Yeah, some jet black men, probably Moors, told him about the New World. They told him it was a land across the sea and where there's plenty of gold. Columbus went to the wrong place. A very interesting story about the place where Columbus allegedly was trying to go was a story of Hernando Cortez. Hernando Cortez, after being commissioned by the Catholic Church after Columbus's lies of "I found plenty gold," Cortez made it to Tenochtitlan, which is now called Mexico City, with a small detail of soldiers. And he got out of his boat on horses, and Montezuma, who was a fucking warrior. Now, the Arawaks that Columbus met were just a real kind, peaceful people, didn't even have weapons. And that was in Columbus's report. So Hernando Cortez didn't take a lot of people with him. And he got off the boat ready to slaughter people and met 6'3" fucking warriors with weapons. And they were going to slaughter his ass. And as the story goes, they were going to write about the slaughter Cortez and all his men and his horses. And when one of Montezuma's lieutenants said, "Master, I can't. It's Quetzalcoatl who was the Christ, the God," because their Christ figure, Quetzalcoatl, said he would come back in a coat of shining white or something like that. And Cortez's men had on silver armor, and it was pinging. The sun was pinging off of it, so it looked white. He thought God came back. So Montezuma, in all his wisdom, where did his wisdom come from? Hint, hint, don't know. Question mark. But in his wisdom, he said, "No, that's not Quetzalcoatl. I don't know who they are, but kill them." And Montezuma was faced with a dilemma. if he killed who his lieutenant thought was God, his men would turn on him. So Montezuma, in his wisdom, came up with a compromise. He told Cortez and his men to leave and gave them gifts. He gave them food, he gave them animals, and he gave them gold. Big mistake. That's where those blankets came from, because Cortez got back on the ship, went back to Spain, said, Your Majesty, they do have plenty gold over here. And the Spanish monarchy and the Catholic Church sent a whole fleet of men back with gifts. They coughed in blankets with smallpox. People that had smallpox coughed in blankets. They wrapped it up real neat and gave it to the people and wiped out the whole fucking South America with that biological warfare. But it was all about gold.
I was just going to say, we do have lots of gold over in America, though, by the way. We have several gold mines, Carlin Mine, Cortez Mine, Turquoise Ridge Mine, and Fort Knox Mine, and others. So we do have gold, but you have to mine
Grand
it.
Canyon.
Yeah, you got to mine the gold, though. So it's not like it's just sitting there with gold bars, and all you have to do is go in the mine.
Well, this is why I believe it, Wani, because the story we were told is that Columbus was looking for a new path into India. But why? When India and Europe had already been in trade deals, they had a path to India. They knew how to get to India. It was no greater path. They were already trading with India.
Right.
Yeah.
Why would Columbus be looking for another path when they had a great path? It makes no sense. That's why I believe
You want to bypass the Middle East.
Well, no, but okay, that may be so as well. But there was no Columbus setting sail to look for a greater path to India when there was already trade going on with India and they had the ports open. They were fine.
Yeah, Dr. Howard Zinn, as I said earlier, points out that the motive. What did he say? He said because of Columbus' exaggerated reports and promises, his second expedition was given 17 ships, more than 1,200 men. And Dr. Howard Zinn says the aim was clear: slaves and gold. I've always thought that whole story of they were looking for India was cap. They were looking for fucking gold because one of the Moors told Columbus it was gold over here. That's why. Now, there's another theory that Dr. John Henry Clarke put in his book. I think, Wani, you've done some scholarship on this, that Columbus may have been looking for a whole nother homeland. What do you think about that?
Yes.
Uh-oh, here we go.
I do believe it. No, we don't have to go into all that, but there's a lot of evidence pointing to him being Jewish. A lot. He was financed by Jewish people. He spoke Hebrew. He wrote in Hebrew. His two sons said, the only thing we know about our father is that he's Jewish. His daughter was buried in a synagogue. I mean, there's like a lot of stuff. All of his advisors were Sephardic Jewish business people. So he was surrounded by Jewish people, and he was Jewish. He was thought to be a secret Jew.
And Dr. John Henry Clarke points out that 1492 was the time when a lot of people were being kicked out of Spain. Yeah.
Yes, it was the same year, and he left a few months after. But he actually left right after they began to enforce it, because they had this law passed, but then they didn't enforce it right away. So they were like, this is the date of the law, and you got to be out by this date. And that's when he set sail.
Wow.
So that's why there's a lag in him leaving, just I think it's like weeks after, because that's when they said, no, you really have to be out. Everybody around him was either Jewish or, forget the name of it, where they can forcefully convert to Christianity. And they were all Jewish men, rabbis even.
Right. You see a lot of that in world leaders. What was the guy named Fidel Castro had that lineage. Nobody ever talked about it, but I digress. That's a whole nother space. Sep Ward, what's on your mind?
Yeah, so I have a question. So the Anunnaki, were they supposedly extraterrestrials?
Yeah, you would say that. They came from another planet, according to them. They did not look like human beings. And they,
Nibiru.
Okay, so if
powerful creators.
Okay, so if I understand this right, they came here to mine gold. Is that do I have this right?
They said they needed gold for their atmosphere, and they didn't want to mine it, and they had a couple of methods to get some others to do it, and then they decided they need to make some schmuck, I think that's us, to do it for them. And sure enough, we ended up being thrown up in all the mines.
Okay, so they did not want to mine the gold themselves.
Well, they were lazy.
Well, that's some. Okay, well, okay. So, if you're an intelligent spacefaring civilization, you can go anywhere you want. But you're too lazy to want to mine your own fucking gold.
Yeah, they're smart but lazy.
That's not computing.
Well,
and on top of that,
I
ma'am,
like your pushback, and I would literally pay you to push back on everything that I say. It keeps me grounded.
But yes, ma'am. But if you're a spacefaring civilization, you can go anywhere you want. Why would you come to Earth where we have gold in very small concentrations when you can go to a M-type asteroid and get all the gold you want?
How do you know they have the gold over there?
What, M-type asteroids?
Yeah.
Yeah, they know that. Yeah, that's
they have lots of gold.
It's called there's some venture capitalists. They call it asteroid mining.
Whoa.
And yeah, so
they do have the gold on these on this asteroid.
Yeah, that's how most gold got here on this planet.
I've heard that before.
Okay. No, you have a very good point. Why are they over here trying to beat us into submission, making us go mine these minerals if they're readily available on other places? Maybe they can't breathe the atmosphere or survive on these asteroids. What do you think? Because they're not showing themselves in any kind of protective clothing. Like they seem like they can breathe this atmosphere.
I'm just going to go with Occam's razor here and go with the simplest answer. It's bullshit. It's all made up.
Well, and I'm kind of, I have no dog in the fight, but just to be devil's advocate against you, Seventh Ward, Zachariah Stinson wrote a series of books on this. And anyway, long story short, Zachariah said that there's a planet in elliptical orbit with Earth that passes by Earth every 11,000 years. Somebody got a hot mic.
Nibiru. It's Nibiru.
Yeah, that's it. And Zachariah said this planet, given its long elliptical orbit, the lifespans are different on the planet. The gravity is less. So these alleged Anunnaki grow 14, 20 feet tall. All right. Well, okay, whatever. Well, Zachariah Stinson said, like Wani said, over the course of time, they fucked up their atmosphere. And they found out that if you sprinkle gold in the atmosphere, that could protect their planet from solar radiation and prolong the life of their planet. So they noticed it was a small planet next to the sun that had plenty gold. And according to Zachariah Stinson, the Anunnaki, an advanced race of extraterrestrials, had a war on their own planet with another giant intelligent being. I forget the name of them. It escapes my name. But the Anunnaki enslaved this intelligent race of being off their planet and sent them down here to mine gold. Zachariah Stinson said that intelligent race then had a civil war and started fighting them when they would come to collect. So the Anunnaki had a better idea. They said our race from our planet, the lesser race, if you will, are too smart, they're too intelligent, they're too strong. Let us create our own race of beings that were made exclusively for mining gold. This is according to Zachariah Stinson. I'm not proposing that this is historical fact, but he said that's where we came from. And he said that the women were so beautiful that they start intermarrying them. A lot of what Zachariah Stinson claimed kind of coincided with the stories of the Bible, the sons of men. The Nephilim. There you go. So if that's true or not, I don't know, but it's interesting.
Where's the Book of Enoch?
Does the Book of Enoch say that too?
Now, what about
It's about extraterrestrials.
What about this Enkidu that they created? They were going to use this Enkidu to go around and mine gold, but it was too wild or something. It was like a wild man, hairy and everything, and then it got civilized.
Well, my thing is this.
You broke up, Captain.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah.
Okay, so what the Anunnaki, is really not serious but had to birth. My thing is this: who the fuck are y'all to come down here and tell us what to do?
Well, if you got that type of power and you're intergalactic civilization, I guess we wouldn't have that much of a choice. Zachariah said, and this is just what he said. This is not scholarship.
I'm about to bust a cap on his galactic ass.
I think he's dead. I think Zachariah's dead. But for whatever it's worth, I know a lot of world governments tried to shut Zachariah up. So if what he was saying wasn't true, why was somebody trying to shut him up? I think he was an engineer. But anyway, it could be fiction.
Hell no, all them bitch ass niggas are reptiles. All of them up there.
Well, to support Zachariah's extension, a lot of ancient books back him up. So the Indian Vedas back him up because the Vedas say that there was some type of galactic war between. God dang it, Wani, help me out. What did the Vedas say? What was the name of the people? They
I forget.
They had a galactic, and that sounds like
When they have to be manas.
Yeah, there you go. And I forget the name, but they had weapons, advanced weapons. We're talking about thousands of years ago. And that sounds like mumbo jumbo, but there's evidence to support these wars that are standing today with Mohenjo-daro. There's an area that's been affected by some type of nuclear weapon because it's still radioactive. There are bodies there that are 10,000 years old, 11,000 years old that haven't decayed for real. Animals didn't run off with the bones. And when Billy Carson went out there, he took a Geiger counter and found out that those bodies are still radioactive. So how did that happen? So it's a lot of unanswered questions.
Let's ask Seventh. How did that happen, Seventh?
Who said it happened in the first place?
It's radioactive.
It's there. Look up Mohenjo-daro.
Mohenjo-daro.
There's lots of places throughout the planet that are naturally radioactive.
Well, it's not naturally radioactive. The bodies and the buildings there are above background radioactive, and it's rubble. It was like some type of massive cataclysm that happened there.
How you doing, Professor?
Hey.
What's up?
How you doing, Wani? How you doing, Nikki? See, this is my type of shit right here, right? So I watched like over the last few years, one of the things that I watch is this thing called the Y-Files on YouTube. And they always talking about the Anunnaki and stuff like that. But one thing that is true that it can't be debunked when we're talking about the Anunnaki and higher resistance and things like that is during the Cold War, which actually wasn't a war, but it was like, the U.S. military and the Russian military, they start paying millions of dollars for people that can astro project. To even now, our government, China and Russia today.
You mean USSR, right?
Huh?
You mean USSR when they was working together, United States and Russia?
Well, no, during the Cold War when they was going against each other. Now, our military today still puts millions of dollars into people who can astro project. Now, what I want to ask the room, nobody has been able to articulately put together what deja vu is. I believe the human mind, I believe what we know.
Remote viewing programs?
Exactly, right? But nobody, it's deeper than that shit, Wani. Like, I believe that we are so dumbed down and especially black people, like to the point to where it's crazy, right? I've had deja vu for shit, and it felt like it was years before I drank this. Like literally, like I still be having, and it's crazy because it could be something as simple as sitting in traffic and seeing a truck, but the deja vu was from 15, 20 years ago. It don't have to be a big event. Like, and what do y'all honestly think? Do y'all think that shit is like a glitch in the Matrix? And how did that...
It seems like it is a glitch in the Matrix type scenario.
And dig a little deeper, Wani. I'm about to mute up for a second. I'm taking my dinner out the oven. Yeah, I got in late, but I'm meal prepping.
Oh, boy. You just said something, boy. I'm about to start some shit.
I'm meal prepping. Don't judge me. You know, see how FBA be on code? Like, nobody said nothing, but I felt the need to explain it.
Yeah,
that's that language that you feel like, oh, here these motherfuckers go, though. And I knew it was gonna be you, nigga. But hold on.
Hey, but you know what, though, cuz? When you said that, cuz, they go back to what I said in the last, was it the last space or the space before that? Have y'all ever had this feeling like shit ain't real? Not even yourself is real? You question that shit?
I get what you're saying. I feel like...
Yeah.
But can y'all please explain, Professor?
You mean like you feel like you're in the Matrix?
Exactly.
But what the fuck is deja vu? I feel like we don't think about that shit deep enough. Like, that's some real shit that we kind of
You seem like you're having it more than the average person. How often do you have this deja vu?
I'm going to tell y'all something, and then I'm going to mute up. Because I'm not real comfortable with this.
It's not a big deal. I think most people have had it.
I kind of get sick, and I get and I start feeling woozy, and I start getting sick like when people that I know or family members is about to die, and then it's like the feeling I get like the day or two beforehand. But it's hard for me to explain.
Seem like you're more psychic than the average person.
It's like a piece of me or something is being removed or something.
Well, this science is hidden from you. This is that. During the Nazi Germany, they did a bunch of cruel fucking experiments. And one cruel experiment they had a set of identical twins, and they took one of the little boys into a room, and the other, they were in separate rooms, and they wanted to know what would happen to a twin if they killed the other one. And they killed one of the twins, just straight killed him. And you know what happened to the other one? He died. There was no explanation for him dying. He died right there on the spot. There's a guy, this is that. You might want to write this down because this is going to give you a lot of the answers you're looking for.
All right, I'm muted up because I'm listening and I'm meal prepping, but please continue. I'm about to write it down now.
His name is Rupert Sheldrake, PhD. I think it's Rupert Shell, Shelldrake, Rupert Sheldrake, PhD. Nobody talks about this guy. He's a English professor of abnormal psychology. He's a psychology professor, but he focuses on abnormal psychology and paranormal psychology. And Rupert did an experiment, scientific experiment, empirical, to prove that we have a part of our brain that telekinesis is real. Is it telekinesis or which one is it?
Telepathy.
Telepathy. That's it.
Yeah, telepathy. That's your frontal lobe.
And this shit is raw science. He has over a 33% success rate. I've done this experiment in my classroom and it worked. Well, anyway, he wanted to find out if we were telepathic. And he did an experiment where he got, a blind study where he got people and he would all tell them to think about a certain person. They didn't know who they were thinking about collectively. But they, given a piece of paper with somebody's name on it, and they were told to deeply, intensely think about this person for a certain amount of time. And over damn near half of the people, the person they were thinking about called them or texted them. And
happens to me all the time.
For real. Yeah.
All the time.
I did that shit in class one day and scared the living shit out of my undergrads. I got passed around a piece of paper that said, think of your mom or your dad. And then I played just some music, some meditation music. And we thought about mom or dad for about 5 minutes. And I stopped the music. And they were like, man, that's bullshit. Man, that's bullshit. You just wasted my time. About 45 minutes later, cell phones start going off. Da-ding, 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 da-ding. And they were like, Dr. A, my daddy just called me and said, he texted me and said, is everything okay? But Rupert did that shit.
You can feel him thinking.
Right. Which is very fascinating if we want to go down this rabbit hole. Rupert,
Please go down this rabbit hole. I ain't trying to throw off the room, but
no,
yeah.
you good. Rupert, lastly, Rupert did it with dogs too. I forgot how he did it, but he told his part of his study to come home at an abnormal time. Just whatever time you usually come home a totally different time. And he put cameras in their house, and when they start coming home, like I'm talking about miles away from the house, they were on their way home, the dogs or the cats went by the door and started waiting for them. Like the dogs knew and the cats knew. Well, the rabbit hole is very fascinating. What I'm trying to say, ladies and gentlemen, is there a group of people that leads back to Germany that or Germanic. I'm sorry, not Germany, the Germanic groups that know more than we know. They know our ancient history, but there was a guy in Kentucky named Edgar Casey. Now, there's a whole museum and institution behind him. The government used him, but y'all probably never heard of him. You can look him up. His nickname was the Sleeping.
I know who he is.
Uh-oh. Tell us about him, Ward.
Yeah, he used to go into these trances and just start rambling. And sometimes he says something that coincidentally happened. So, yeah.
Now, how did you get this cynical?
But Wani and Professor, I'm going to say one other thing. I don't want to start like talking too much because this shit, I haven't been able to, I've been through a lot of like trauma and shit. Right. Like as far as like shit I done seen. Like I seen my first person get murdered when I was 2 years old. You know what I'm saying? So it's, and I can remember shit. Like I used to scare my grandma and my mom being able to replay certain incidents and certain, like, it's like I can like kind of trans out and I can go back to where it was a certain room and the smell of it, like to when I was 2 or 3 years old. And I swear to God, listen, I'm gonna have my mama make a Twitter and I'm gonna have her talk about it so y'all don't think I'm, bullshitting, but it's to the point to where like the last 5 or 6 years of my life, I can kind of tell by how the wind going when I'm going outside what kind of day it's gonna be, if that makes sense.
Yeah, it does. It does. See, brother, and I don't want to get way off topic, but we're in a society in Western society that's taken out of our powers. Western society focusing on talents that the European has, and the European, when they start claiming IQ goes to in graduate school education, psychology, you learn that there are multiple intelligences. It ain't just one form of intelligence, but we get tested on what the European is good at. It's called IP, information processing. Basically, Europeans good at remembering facts and, remembering bits of information. I'm saying that to say Indians, like Native Americans and other indigenous groups have different intelligences where they could tell about star alignments and, like you said, the wind, and they were in touch with other things. Well, back to Edgar Casey, like a brother Seventh Ward was saying, Edgar Casey had a strange experience of being visited by maybe an extraterrestrial or visited by something when he was a child, and they granted him some type of ability, and Edgar would go into a trance in his house, and people would come over there and say, hey, I'm sick. How do I heal myself? He'd go into a trance and tell them, hey, go eat this, go take this berry and drink this. And they would get cured of extreme diseases, cancers and ailments. Well, his trance states got worldwide attention. And guess who it got the attention of? It got the attention of Sigmund Freud, the German psychiatrist. Sigmund Freud went to his house, put him in a trance, and had but one question for him. The question was, what happened to Atlantis? And in great detail, he didn't ask if Atlantis existed. He said what happened to it. And in great detail, Edgar Cayce told him of an advanced society long time ago that sounded like Star Wars, flying ships, anti-gravity. He said that energy came from some form of crystal. People had crystals that generated energy. But long story short, he said that the Atlanteans, it was two societies. It was Atlantis and Lemuria. They both were hyper advanced, but the Atlanteans were more into weapons and stuff. The Lemurians were more into nature. Well, he said that the Atlanteans were visited by an outside group called the Brotherhood. Wani, why do I always forget the name of these people? The Brotherhood of
Set Typhon.
It's almost Set. It almost sounds like Set. It sounds like that. The Brotherhood of just a corrupted group of something that corrupted the mind of the Atlanteans, and a war broke out. Well, the reason why I brought that up is Edgar was saying that the Atlanteans and the Lemurians were so in touch with God, so in touch with the Creator, so in tune with nature that they could communicate without opening their mouths. They could just kind of like text message each other just by thinking. And the reason why I brought up that long diatribe is Rupert Sheldrake. There are groups of people that know this information, and when black people bring it up, it's all woo-woo. But these are scientists. Edgar Cayce. What was I saying? Rupert Sheldrake kind of picked up that research to prove that it's real, and these are ongoing studies in 2025 that prove that telepathy is very real. We just haven't tapped into it. Long story short, according to Edgar Cayce, whatever that group of evil people were that visited the Atlanteans and corrupted their mind, they divided us from the source. So our connection to the Creator, to nature, to the God one, the one God. Some people call him the All, or Allah Subhanahu wa Ta'ala. Once we were separated from the source, we became kind of isolated. So we stepped outside of our powers. It's real interesting shit. Look up Edgar Cayce, the Sleeping Prophet. It'll blow your mind.
Now, Edgar, they said, was right 80% of the time. I don't understand, does some of the things that some of these prophets say, are those things able to change over time? So if he says something's going to happen, can things happen to change it so that that thing doesn't happen? Is that why he's not right all the time? Or, he's not someone that I just am bowled over, but he did seem to go into trances and tell people what kind of treatments they needed, similar to the Khoisan, or similar to what the shaman do. They go into trances, apparently talk to someone, and that someone tells them what types of medicine to use. And they've been doing this for thousands of years. Australian natives, Khoisan, the Twa people, so many people have been doing that, going into trances. They do it in the Amazon, and they go into trances, and in those trances, someone tells them, hey, if you take this herb and this plant and mix it up, it will turn into some medication that will help one of the people in the tribe. Now, there are millions of plants in the Amazon, but for some reason, they knew how to create ayahuasca, which is really impossible to have created just by trial and error.
They wouldn't do it by trial and error. No, you had to know.
You don't have enough time in the universe for them to come up with it. And the same thing when I was speaking about the Khoisan, they had some sort of medication, some ground up herb combination inside of a horn, and someone found it, and it was thousands of years old. How did that man know to blend those herbs together to create something that is an actual medication that we could use now? It was an actual, they examined it. I'm going to get the article. It's very bizarre. We could see that those people lived. They lived and they thrived, and they got to the next generations. If it wasn't for them, we wouldn't be here now. We come from those generations of people that were shaman and medicine men. even though we feel like we're detached from it and we're far away from it. If they didn't do what they did, if they didn't get those herbs together, we would not live and breathe. So they were obviously doing something to keep their populations healthy enough to get to the next generations.
Yeah. What Wani just said is so powerful. It's powerful because there's another person y'all need to look up. You said the word shaman, Wani. He passed a while back, but his name was Credo Mutwa. It's CredoMutwa. Mutwa. And Credo was from a place in Africa with the oldest Stonehenge. They call it, I think, Jacob's calendar or whatnot. But he was an old lineage of, I forget the name of it, but they were shaman that you had to be initiated into, and he knew sacred information. He got discovered by David Icke, and David Icke did reports on him. You can find them on YouTube, unless they taking this shit down. But Credo said some powerful shit. Number one, Credo said that the European went on conquest across the world looking for shaman that knew the sacred information, got the sacred information, then killed them. But the most powerful thing he said to me was, he said that after his initiation, he had to spend some time in some mountains that are known to be affected with a group of people he calls the Chitawuli. But the Chitawuli are that reptilian thing y'all were talking about earlier. Wani mentioned the snake in China, the snake in the Bible, that. You remember Lucifer presented himself as a snake, and what did he give? He gave knowledge. Hello. Well, Credo said he got abducted by it was very interesting. He was walking in the mountains after his initiation, and he said he all of a sudden everything looked kind of hazy, like weird, like purple mist in the air, and before he knew it, he couldn't move. And he said he woke up on some type of, I'm not going to say alien spacecraft, it could have been a government vehicle, who knows. But Credo said that he was on there with a bunch of people, and they were doing experiments on him. He said he could perceive, but he couldn't move. And he said they were taking blood. It was very painful, taking samples out of him. And he said at the end, he said he saw those typical big-headed, quote-unquote, aliens walking around. And he said they made him, they brought out a hybrid, a woman with red hair and green eyes, Wani, green eyes. And he said that they made him have sex with her. And then after they made him have sex with her, they dumped him in the middle of the back in the mountains naked, and he said it was an awful smell on the ship. But long story short, Credo got
Damn, she got here some galactic ass.
Galactic.
Yep.
Galactic.
And they got some samples from some galactic ass, and they said her hair was clear, and nobody has clear hair.
Wow.
Yeah, she was 10 feet tall. She jumped on top of this man and did all kind of things.
She got that human meat, got that human semen that bumped out of there.
Hey,
10 feet tall. 10 feet tall with clear hair, people.
The alien
And they got the hair.
I wonder what texture it was. I wonder what texture the hair was.
Straight.
Uh-oh.
You know
what? A1, let go half on the baby, though. Real shit.
Well, Credo said the interesting thing that Credo said, and he said when he was on that craft, he caught eyes with people that were on there. They caught eyes in terror, like looking at each other in terror, but they couldn't say nothing. And Credo said when they kicked him off the craft and back in the wilderness, when he got back home and got his thoughts together, he had an epiphany. He said those weren't aliens. He said those were time travelers. That's what he said. And he said, in his opinion, he thinks that those were people from the future, from the distant future when Earth was fucked up, going back to try to figure out how to procreate because they lost their ability to procreate. But the end of the story was very interesting. Kratos said years later he was walking through South Africa during apartheid, and he said a white man walked up to him and said, "Hey, you boy, hey, you keffer. I know you." Keffer means nigga in South Africa. He said, "I know you, keffer." And he's like, "No, sir, I don't know you, boss. I don't know you." And he said, "Keffer, where have I seen you?" And he said the dude looked at him, and he looked at his face, and he said the white man's face just went white, like with sheer terror. He said, "It can't be. That can't be true. It didn't happen." He said it was the dude, the white supremacist that was talking to him was one of those faces he saw on the craft that was couldn't talk. Deep shit.
All right, so here go one of my stories, right? So I was 17. I was walking through the mall, and this is actually two stories like this. So one, I was 9, and I was going down the street. It was like 9 o'clock in the morning because I used to wake up early, go outside, play basketball, stuff like that. You know, we used to be outside early from sun up to the street lights came on. And my next door neighbor's stepdaughter, who had lived out of town and I never met before, she was like, because I was walking like down my driveway. She was like, "Are you the little boy from next door?" And I was like, "Yeah." She was like, "God, I woke up in sweats last night. God told me to pray for you." And I'm like, "Huh?" And I got scared. Like, I'm like, and it's not that I didn't know, nothing about God. My grandma made me read the Bible early on, like from the age of 3 or 4, because I could read it early, real good. And she was like, I guess she saw the look on my face. She was like, "God told me to pray for you." And I was like, "Oh, okay." And then, like, I backed away from her car and started walking back home. But my mother is not in tune how I'm in tune. Like, we just completely different, like, people. Like, she's not in tune. She don't believe in none of the, FBA stuff, this Anunnaki. Like, that's too deep for her. So she didn't really understand what was going on. So fast forward, I'm 17 now. I'm in my senior year. It's for a senior skip day. I'm somewhere I ain't even supposed to be. It's like this Native American lady. I'm walking through the mall. She like 80-something years old, like walking slow. Mind you, at this time, I'm like 6'5", 245 at this time. So she like grabbed me by my wrist, but she like stopped me. And she like, "I need to talk to you." And I'm like, "Huh?" But when she said it, I swear to God for you, I instantly thought of my neighbor next door from 9 years prior, 8 to 9 years prior. Like, I instantly thought of it. Like, just the way she said it. She said, "I need to talk to you." And then I had three of my associates, my friends with me around that time. And she was like, "Not with them." And so I walked up to the side. I said, "Yeah." She was like, "I'm going to get candles. I don't need you to pay me anything, but I have to pray for you." And I'm like, "Huh?" She was like, "You're going to be okay. Don't worry about it," because I'm living in a fucked up environment around this time and everything. So she like, "Don't worry, you're going to live a long life." It's like she knew I started thinking about something happening to me or something like that. She was like, "Don't worry, you're going to live a long life, but I need to pray for you. Can I please get these candles and can I please pray for you?" And I said, "Man, I got somewhere to go." But the nod she gave me was like a nod of surety and don't worry about it. Like she was going to do something anyway. Like, she was like, "Don't worry about it." She was like, "Just have a good day, okay? Just have a good day." And man, when I tell you, I thought about that shit for so long until like some shit I can't talk about or explain happened. But I can't tell when it all made sense and started to make sense in my life. But I know there's other people that had certain situations like that. I just would like to see what they came up to about it and what did they end up finding out of how they feel about it. There's a lot of stuff that happened in my life. Like, I don't even be feeling comfortable to explain because I don't meet people who are that in tune. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah, some of us on Spaces. I mean, my life's so strange that I actually have evidence. I published and copyrighted a photo I took in Africa of a visitation. Like a couple of y'all seen but it's y'all gonna see it pretty soon. But yeah, weird stuff happened, man. I don't want to hog the space, but I'll say I was. I can't say where I was. It's classified, but I was being a dumbass in a war zone. Didn't have a weapon with me, and I was mad. Somebody pissed me off, and I walked off, and I got compromised. Wasn't armed, and it was a fucking kid, a terrorist with a fucking gun that was about to shoot me, and I caught eyes with him, and his eyes meant business, and I was trying to kind of like look at him like, hey, you're not gonna shoot me, are you? And his eyes said everything. But long story short, I had a straight out of body experience, and I still hadn't got an explanation for that. It's a long story, but I was looking down at and you can ask Wani I thought I died. I was like, is this, I can't explain what happened, but there's a lot that is not explained. Brother, what's going to help you a lot is get Rupert Sheldrake's book. It's called Morphic Resonance. He talks about the science of a part of our brain that we don't use anymore. And I think, this is my opinion, it's in scholarship, I think that goes back to the fall of man with the Atlanteans. I think at one point we were hyper advanced, we were totally in touch with God, and we listened to some deceptionary force that separated us from the God force. And we're just, what this life is about, we're all trying to find our way back. Jamie Odell. What's on your mind, Jamie Odell? I think that's what it says. Jamie Odell. Can y'all hear me?
Yeah, I hear you. Sometimes it lags.
Okay, I saw her come off him come off his mic for a second. Jamie Odell, you got 5 seconds. 4, 3, 2, 1. We'll come back to you. Something's probably wrong with her space. But yeah, that book talks about that part of your brain. Wani mentioned shamans earlier, and she mentioned, I think you said ayahuasca. That, whatever that is, that drug or whatever you want to call it, it's no way that people could have stumbled upon it. No way people could have accidentally found it. I've watched a Joe Rogan episode where he kind of talked about that. Like it's some very specific way you gotta create it. And of course it comes from plants. Well, anyway, that, and I've never done it. I'm not that bold, but a lot of people have done it. And across countries, across the world, people who do whatever that drug is, ayahuasca, have the same experience. They meet entities who all have a similar response. Joe Rogan said his experience was, they said, oh my gosh, I'm so glad you're here. And people have that similar, and they look similarly, and they all have like they say something along the lines of, I love this new technology. How did you find this? But according to Joe Rogan, these entities, they call them the elves. Some people call them the elves. Tell them secrets and tell them things on how to heal themselves or how to fix the world. I have a point with this. Y'all vibe with me for a minute. And the question was posed, is this a hallucination, or is that drug tuning your brain to a point where you can perceive other dimensions? Well, that's neither here nor there. But the reason why I brought this up is because I found out that in Silicon Valley in California, where all these hyper technological devices came from, do y'all know that those scientists and those IT personnel were experimenting? They got a lot of their ideas for computers from using psychedelic drugs. So what's the chance of one of them doing ayahuasca and learning how to make an iPhone? I'm just saying.
Interesting.
Really interesting.
We got some new people to the stage, Professor.
Go ahead, Belinda Mack, and then we're going to go to Capone. What's up, Belinda?
Can you hear me?
Yes, ma'am.
Oh, okay. I started listening to Tariq Nasheed, and this is how I became familiar with your space. And it's weird because tonight I usually can't catch y'all as often because of the time difference that I'm in. But a lot of the things that the other people were talking about, it's almost the same experiences as what I went through. As a child, they used to say I was an indigo child. Have you ever heard of that?
Oh yeah, I'm indigo. 80s baby. You're an 80s baby?
77, yeah.
Okay, right around in there.
Yeah. And it is strange. Older people will come and say I'm blessed or I have a light. And it's weird, like, I was born in the city, but I grew up in the country, and we used to play outside as kids, and it felt like I used to feel the grass under my feet. You know what I mean? Like moving, like a vibration. So, yeah, it's kind of weird, and then it's kind of weird that I'm on your space tonight. Now, thank you for that and what y'all talking about in our land.
Oh yeah, it's not weird at all, Belinda. It's just we live in a very wicked society that's kind of trying to disrupt us from our inheritance, our power. And just to give you a little scholarship on that, our dear fallen brother, George Washington Carver, used to interact with the grass and the trees early in the morning. And listen to this powerful shit. George Washington Carver would wake up in the wee morning hours of the day, 4 a.m., 3 a.m., and would walk through the garden and walk through the wilderness. And through walking through the wilderness, Dr. Carver said that a tree, he became in communication with a tree or a plant that told him scientific secrets. George Washington Carver would later use that, the information that he proclaimed to get from the plant to give to Henry Ford. Now, this technology was on how to mass produce. That's what plants do. You have a peach tree, it mass produces a bunch of peaches, right? And Henry Ford stole his idea and created the idea of mass production of cars. And what do we call factories to this day? A fucking plant, because of George Washington Carver. These folk know what's going on.
Yeah, well,
it's deep shit. Capone, what's on your mind, bro?
Oh, hello, my beautiful black people. Oh, nothing, just enjoying your beautiful tutelage and your knowledge that you drop on us on a daily. Hey, Sister Nikki, Sister Wani, my beautiful black sisters. All right, just to go off the point, Thomas Jefferson, yes, was a definite pedophile. In those times, the white folks, had carte blanche on our people, and they did as they seemed fit. And why is gold valuable? Because white people put a value to it. Before, from what I was taught, we were walking on that. It was all over the place. We used it for braces, to conduct electricity back in Egypt, to fill a tomb. It was for decorative purpose, and these white folks put a value to it. That's why it is where it's at right now. And then a funny point, Professor, I remember you mentioning you had tasted rice wine. Are you familiar with the sassafras tree?
Yeah, I am. I heard it'll fuck you up, but I've never had any.
Okay, well, in Thai and Cambodia, the sassafras tree, that's the main product used to make ecstasy. Those properties have the same effect as the ayahuasca tree sap. Usually they make it into a powder, they dry it out. But the actual sassafras tree, they usually put it in the rice wine and drink it. And so if you see like a lot of Asian people who have the wood chips in their vodka bottles and shit, that's that shit. That's that same shit. But, I land on that. Love, peace, reparations, delineations, and deportations.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. The only reason why I know because I used to do it. So, it was kind of cool.
Oh, yeah. Our government agencies know. We get played like we fools, but people are using our technology to advance themselves. I was reading an article about an ODA, that's Operation Detachment Alpha. That's, y'all know them as the Green Berets. Them some bad motherfuckers. The Navy SEALs got a lot of glamour, but the Green Berets, man, they deep. Well, the Green Berets, they're teachers, so you get like they call it an A team, maybe 6 men or whatnot. a team of specialists that get dropped off in an area, and those 6 to 10 men take over, just basically take over the area and overturn governments. They overthrow government. But I was reading an article about a Vietnam ODA who they dropped into Cambodia, and he was talking about the Cambodians, or maybe it's the Laotians, I forgot what indigenous group of people, they knew of a frog. It was some frog walking around, a green frog. And if you licked his back of the green frog, you could kind of transcend time. Like you would go into a trance, and time and space were irrelevant. So, no serious drug process. You just got to find the toad, and the right one, the wrong one to kill you. And you lick
but when you do that, your eyes start going around in circles.
Yeah. Yeah, my man said he came out of it a week later. Like, where the fuck was I? A week went by in no time. Like 15 minutes or something.
People better be aware of that there are some side effects. I've never used any of this stuff, but I've studied some of it, and I know that I'm known to get like nauseous and throwing up and stuff after using it. So just be careful.
Well, Nikki, since you're a medical specialist, like, why is it that people get on drugs and become strong? And my wife used to say people at the hospital would like come there high on what was it called, PCP and bath salts and shit. And said they could like jump straight up over like 6-foot walls and so. Where does that power come from when they on drugs? How does that work?
Yeah, I guess it intensifies your confidence so that you think you're Superman. Wow. And then after you go down, I think these people go into some type of state of depression after they start withdrawing from it, because they get, overly confident, overexcited. And then after the drug wears off, they get to this very low. And that's how some of them end up in the hospital.
That's very interesting. What Nikki just said was, it's just confidence. So what I'm hearing is we can do more than we think we can. And when you get on them drugs, you just realize that you can do what you actually can do. That's wild.
Yeah, but some of them take their clothes off. Some of them get real hot, like when they're doing those bath salts. They all get naked.
Always get naked, Nikki. They always get naked. When I was in college, and the frat boys and shit would get high on weird shit, and the frat girl, every once in a while somebody go running down the street naked, screaming. Why do they always get naked?
I think they just get hot.
Oh shit, that's hilarious. Well, wow, it's been a great space. I see Captain wanted to say something. Let me bring him back up. Brother Captain, what's on your mind, man?
Boy, you got some mad people. Boy, they're mad with me. They're mad with me too. Hell, goddamn me. Boy, they trying their best, man, to fucking keep me off this goddamn app. I don't know why, but every time I try to raise my hand, it goes straight off the fucking app, like literally all the way off.
Yeah.
Yeah, people are saying that they can't hear the space and all that, and so I don't know what's going on.
I do.
Nah, it ain't that. It's my phone, like literally kicks the whole fucking app off. I don't know why, but they've been doing it since I've been fucking like requesting this shit. I don't know why. Well, I don't know who I pissed off. I pissed somebody off.
Well, the interesting thing, Brother Captain and family, is what's happening. I know y'all perceive it because I'm perceiving it. Our foundational Black Americans vibrationary level, we're raising in consciousness. We're getting on these spaces, having conversations, trying to learn and build and learn off each other. We're not in here fighting and cussing and acting a fool. And what I've noticed in space, it happened to me today in another space, I've noticed it in other, now they don't fuck with me, Nikki, and Wani, because they know, like Tariq said, they come up in this bitch, they gonna get ate alive. But when I go in another space, or somebody really succinct and intelligent comes in our spaces, and the space starts learning and building, and wow, what is this? Oh, well, this happened to me too. And we start building collectively. An agent of chaos comes up in that motherfucker and just like tears it to pieces, you know? So there is an interest for some reason in keeping us from enlightenment. And my question then becomes, what are you afraid of?
Us rising again.
Yeah. People know more about us than we know about ourselves. But guess what, ladies and gentlemen? We're learning about ourselves.
But Professor, I want to talk about something. And it goes on the line of having out of body experience and deja vu and all this type of stuff. Mm-hmm. Me personally, I had an out of body experience, and my thing is, where the hell I was, I don't know. All I know was it was this blue ass flower. It's like an unexplainable blue flower, and it was like a giant fucking flower. I don't know what kind of flower, but they were beautiful as hell. And I called myself, it was like waving, like it was communicating with me. You know what I'm saying?
Don't do that.
And I promise you,
Don't
it was like
do
it was waving back and forth. It was beautiful as fuck. I don't know what kind it was. I never saw it before.
What, Captain, was it on fire?
Wow.
Was it on fire?
No, it was not on fire, but it was a big giant ass fucking flower. Like it was tall as hell, but it was like giant, like giant as hell. In the grass, I remember the grass being like green, but unexplainable green, and I saw other fucking colors that I never saw before. I'm just like,
don't fuck with me, like Captain. Don't do it. Don't do it. You remember?
I'm serious.
You remember when
I'm saying like, what the?
You remember when I was telling the space that I had an out of body? I almost got shot by a terrorist, or I don't know. Maybe I did get shot. I don't know. I was looking at the kid. He was about 7 yards from me, raising up with his weapon, and I looked in his eyes and smiled like, you're not going to shoot me. His eyes meant business. And I turned to run, and my boots, my boot flew off. I didn't even fucking lace my boot. So I knew I wasn't going to outrun no bullet. So I turned like a man to just face it. And I said a quick prayer before, I got shot. And I looked at the ground. I didn't want to see myself get shot. So I just looked at the ground, and nothing happened. And let's say I was facing east looking at that 14-year-old kid, 15-year-old kid. When I looked back up, I was facing the opposite direction. I didn't move. I didn't turn. I was facing west, and the trees were on fire. Like it was like that burning bush thing, and with Moses, like everything alive was on fire, like with a weird colored flame. So I've had we gonna talk, bro, because I don't tell that whole experience in spaces, but it was wild. And I still don't know what happened. For a long time, I thought that I got killed and I was in an alternate reality or something.
Yeah, but man, that shit was so goddamn pretty, man. Basically, when I had that shit, when that shit happened to me, man, I did not want to come back to this shit right here. I did not want to be here. I promise you.
Wow.
I'm just like, yo, what the fuck, bro? I was mad as hell because I'm just figuring out, why did I have to leave that shit to come back to this shit?
Where were you?
I'm just like,
what are the circumstances that happened to you?
Me personally, I got hit. I knew I was gonna get hit. I got hit anyway, but make a long story short, it was meant to happen. For that right there to happen, it was meant for me to get hit.
Where were you?
Shit, I was walking. I was running the neighborhood walking and shit, And, next thing you know, I just knew I was going to get hit because I heard the car, but it was too late for me to react.
Wow. Crazy.
But my thing is this. They always say, when people go to paradise, they don't want to come back here. Me, I didn't want to come back to this shit. I tell you now, I did not want to come back. Y'all were mad as hell.
Yeah, when I was outside, had my out of body experience, I totally forgot about this. Like it wasn't even. It was like I feel what you're saying because it was like it was crazy. I knew I was outside of my body, but I got scared for a split second. Like damn, I don't got nobody. And I wiggled my toes and my fingers, and I could feel them. And I was like, no, I do got a body. It's so weird. We gonna talk.
Yeah. And the crazy part is, I was aware of what happened. I'm gonna tell you like this: when you have that out of body experience and your fucking soul go back in your body, that shit hurt like hell. That shit hurt. I'm telling you that. I'm gonna say that and leave that alone. But the other shit that I saw, like trees, giant fucking trees, bro, that shit was so fucking pretty. I just never seen that like that a day in my life. And if I can have that experience again, I would gladly leave this motherfucker right here. I don't even want to. I would not want to come back.
I had a similar. I'm not telling my whole experience on space, but it was did you see like a beautiful paradise, like with tropical stuff?
It was very tropical, very pretty.
Yeah.
Just shit that's just unexplainable. Like, yo, I didn't even know trees can get this fucking tall. Like 20 foot,
I saw
like
it
20
too.
or 30 foot tall. Yeah, like man, that's right down wide.
Were there
I
like
want to come back to this.
were there like animals and just beautiful wilderness running around and stuff?
I ain't seen no animals, but all I see was just pure beauty, man.
I did too.
Just pure beauty. Like,
Crazy.
and my thing is this: if we can go through that, what do they know that we don't know? And I'm gonna talk on deja vu real quick. My thing is, I don't know. Well, I'm gonna talk on visions, which is still deja vu. But it's like, who the hell were we in our past life? You know what I'm saying? I want to touch on that because for some odd reason, you know, I'm having visions of me being ancient as hell. I was like, me seeing myself, I was just like beautiful, like a beautiful. I was always beautiful. Let me tell it. Well, shit, I was a beautiful motherfucker with long ass hair. I don't know, but I was on a horse, and that's all I can recall. And I snapped out of it.
Well, bro, I have the strangest life on planet, and I got, you know, I never told anybody for years, but like in the recent years of my strange experiences, I got them on film and shit. So like now I'm like a little bold with telling them, like, you're crazy. I'm like, well, look at this, explain this, and everybody's like, what the fuck? Some of y'all in here know what I'm talking about. But anyway, to talk on that, let me tell you some wild shit. When I was a little boy, I was born in the 80s. I would grow up. My dad was in the Navy, and I would watch television. You know, I'd sit in front of TV watching TV, and I was watching the military channel, the History Channel or some shit. And it was I just was always obsessed with special forces, and I almost wanted to do that. I'm glad I didn't because I'm clumsy. I probably would have got killed in the SEALs or like the Rangers or something like that. But I was always obsessed with that. I was going to try to be a Ranger or, special ops. But it's a show on History Channel. It was like the Battle of Iradrang. It's a beautiful story of the Vietnam War. There was a group of, I don't know if they were Rangers or there were some Army guys, like special forces, special operations. And they got trapped by that Marine Corps base, Khe Sanh. And it was a big battle going on with the Marines.
SEAL team.
No, it wasn't SEALs. It was, they were Army. But the Marines was under siege. They were getting battled, so they couldn't help them. And these dudes was just getting slaughtered. Like the North Vietnamese had tanks and just heavy shit. Wasn't supposed to be no tanks there. And a couple of those Rangers got killed, and they were pinned down, bleeding to death. And they were calling, you know what I'm saying, command saying, hey, we're trapped. I got 6 men down here. We're going to die if y'all don't come get us. And Army command was like, look, man, we've already, Khe Sanh's battling. It would kill more people to go help you than to just let you die. I'm sorry. God bless you. And they were like, damn, we're going to die. It was a group of special forces guys that overheard it that was like, fuck it. We're going to go get them. I don't care what happens. We're going to go get them. And they went out. It's just such a gorgeous story. They went out there 5 strong to go rescue 6 men. Long story short, it was a, well, I'm telling the story backwards. I shouldn't have told y'all that. I should have said when I was a child, I had a dream. I would always have a dream that I was a black man in the jungle with a old M16, not a M4, like the old school M16. And I was in a firefight and I got shot. And like I'm a child having this dream. And I would say I got shot. It was a reoccurring dream. I was running with a couple white boys and one of them got shot, and I went and got him and dragged him out. And then I got shot and I fell. And they were like, we're going to get him. And I said, fuck that, just go. And I yelled at them, just go. And I started shooting at the enemy, and then I got hit and everything went black. I would keep having that dream over and over again and telling my mom and dad, and they were like, man, it's okay. It's just a dream. So when I turned a teenager, when I went off to college, I stopped having that dream. I had that dream for like 10 years straight. And I came home from college the first time, and I was sitting on my mama in the living room watching the History Channel. And I was looking at the Battle of Ira Drang, like that story I was telling you about earlier. It was on History Channel, documented. And it was a dude that went to go, it was some special forces guys that went to go go rescue those Rangers that got pinned down. And 2 of the special forces guys got killed. The rest of them survived. One was a POW. But long story short, y'all, there was a black man in that special forces team named, that's what his name was. His name was Sergeant Allen. And he got hit trying to save him. And he told him, just go. I was like, holy shit. So we don't know. This whole life thing is very strange. And I don't know. It's more than what we're being told.
Yeah. And that brings me to this. For the last year myself, I keep having this damn dream. I'm obsessed with one place. Because of this dream, I'm just obsessed with this one place. And it's Antarctica. Now, to rub some feathers, my thing is, I don't know how. I don't know what I was thinking. But in my dream, though, I forgot what it was. It was like a little boat that I was on. I don't know what to call it. It's not a kayak, but it's not a big boat either. It was real fucking. It was like medium size. I don't know what it's called, but I was like visiting in Antarctica, and which is I actually done it before. I actually went over there, but not like going all the way out like that, because they don't allow you to go all the way out. You know what I mean when I say that. You get stopped if you go too far. But my thing is, I don't know how, but the water, me being on it, just, minding my business, just going and going and going. I decided, you know what? I'm going to just go to sleep. So in the dream, I went to sleep, and then I woke up. The water, you know how like average water like moves with ripples? Well, this one it have not no ripples in it. So I'm just like, that's weird as hell. And all of a sudden, it was this big ass red ship come out of nowhere. And it's bigger than the Titanic, bigger than the cargo ship. I don't know what the hell kind of ship it was. All I can remember was them escorting me onto it. Everybody else wearing black and other colors and shit like that. But the captain, in my dream, he always wore something white. He was like dressed in all white, handsome as hell, black guy too. And I looked at him. The bastard looked just like me. And the bastard asked me, how the hell you even get past the wall? I'm saying, what now? How'd you get past the wall? Their objective was, should we send him back over here? No, we're going to keep him. He's over here. He's going to work for us. I'm just like, out of that dream, I started getting obsessed with Antarctica and started reading up on Antarctica even more.
Well, we're gonna have we're gonna have a space on Antarctica, because I've never been, but our sister Wani Spots has been, and I think we could learn a lot from that. If you want to share it, Wani. It's getting late, ladies and gentlemen. We're gonna get one more speaker. I see Amizi. Amizi, what's on your mind?
Hey, what's up, Professor? My bad. I'm coming in at the last minute.
No, you good.
Bro, you guys are touching on some deep shit, and I agree totally what you're saying. And I would say I have my experience, and I think it's all getting us to the same place, but my personal experience was with mushrooms. And that shit fucked me all the way up. Pretty much, it took me through a course of just the esoteric knowledge, the Akashic records. And this one in particular time I took it, it was 10 grams. And I took it, and usually when I take it, the first time I ever started taking it, I prayed, and I had a lot of like trauma just come out, and I prayed, I cried. And like 20 years ago, I'm not sure if you're familiar with crump dancing. I used to be really passionate about it as a younger guy. I'm 40 now. But for the first time in like 20 years, I like danced like I've never done before. It's insane. I can't even get into what was happening. But I ended up like on my knees crying like on the floor. And so I just started taking them, like they were teaching me, like, And this one time I took it, it was 10 grams. And I had something called an ego death. And, you know, I took it that particular day. I took it. And, you know, I set up my stereo because I thought I was just going to have a good time, dance around and stuff and, you know, have a good time. But my body just got really weak. And I was like, what the fuck is this? This is not normal. And then I sat on the couch. And then kind of like what the brother was saying, I just went through like a pain. It was just like, it was an excruciating pain. It felt like God had his foot. Like, it felt like a whooping from God.
Wow. Like,
and I was on the couch, just pain. And I started saying something that I started saying, holy, holy. And I never like cuss or like cry like that. For some reason, I was saying holy, holy. And then eventually I got to a point where I thought I was dead. I was like, in my mind, I was like, oh, fuck. It actually happened. I'm dead. I'm done. You know what I mean? I'm dead. You know, I was on the floor, like, in agony still, but I was just like, I'm dead. And then when I woke up from that, it just, it was like a rebirth. And I realized, I'll just share it with you. I understand what you're saying when you say you can't share everything you experience, but I'll share with that it was, at the end of that, I realized that this shit is not even real. I was like, it's not real. That's fucking crazy. And then all my attachments to people I know started coming in my head. And I was just like, oh shit, they weren't even real this whole time. I've been dead this whole time. And then I started realizing that I'm sorry if I'm tripping anybody, but I started realizing that we're just all one. Like, it's not real. We're all one. We are all just God. And it's almost, I won't share this part with you guys, but, eventually I kept taking them. So I learned more and more. And so eventually it just came to the point where it just took me back to Christ. And then I read the Bible in a whole different way. Like, I understood, like, all the parables, like, kind of were like, not all of them, obviously, I'm still learning, but the parables became clear. And I remember in one space, you were hinting on the Holy Trinity, but you never spoke on it. And I was like, oh, fuck, this dude took it low-key. That's why he's being so secretive. Like, I understood what you were getting at. Like, you were hinting at the Holy Trinity, but you weren't really, like, saying it's the Holy Trinity. And I was just like, I think I just said it, like, hey. And then you kind of just like, yeah, I had an experience. Like, I was like, oh, shit, this dude took it, too. But, you know,
no,
my bad.
I was always too scared to do drugs. I have a family member who got on drugs, and so it wasn't drugs. I don't know what happened. I don't know what happened. I was supposed to be shot. I don't know. Maybe I did get shot, and this is a dream. I don't know. But
yeah, no, my boy, he almost died in the hospital, and he had like a similar experience. So you can get them. You don't need the drugs. It's just like, it's different ways that people get them. But as far as the upgrade shit you're talking about, we are definitely getting upgrades. There's something crazy happening. You know what I mean? People, it's definitely becoming something's definitely going on, and they're not telling us the truth about it. But, you know, thank you for letting me share, man. And thank you for everybody for your time.
Oh, no doubt. And I didn't mean to tease y'all. I go ahead and say this. When I saw the trees after the young man, I don't know what happened. I don't know if he shot at me or I don't know. But I was facing the other direction and the trees were burning. And I immediately thought back to that, you know, the burning bush story. But the trees were communicating. It was just the weirdest thing. And there were no drugs involved. None. And I was scared to tell people about it. you know, but I've had several experiences since, so I'm just kind of like, you know what, it is what it is. Captain, you got last words.
Yeah, and you know, when I was a kid though myself, man, I have, you know, kids can see shit that adults can't see, but only difference is I never really speak on it, but I still see bullshit to this very day. But when I was a kid, I had this guy to come up to my mom, and he was like he was a light-skinned guy, but his eyes was like, I want to say like a grayish blue color, something like that. But make a long story short, he told my mama, he said, this little dude right here is something special. He gonna make you real proud, but you won't be around to see it. And I'll be damned. You know, my mom, she died when I was, 21, 22? I'm 27 now. You know, right after she died, you know, a lot of shit that this man was talking about started taking off for me. My thing is, whatever he means that it's going to be more than what he expect. I'm still waiting on that because I've been having shit going my way ever since. You know, it's weird as hell. But the fact that he said that my mom won't be here to see it, that I still remember that when my mom died, that brought that back to me. And he is somebody, you know. What he said, he's like, well, he's somebody. Everybody gonna know him. Everybody gonna know. Whatever that is, I'm just waiting for it to happen. That way I can, you know, I can tell my mama I made it. That's it.
No doubt, bro. On since we're about to end the space, I wanted to kind of end with, you know, we got into spirituality, which is great, but let's kind of end with a little science. The University of Pennsylvania, the Ivy League school that produced Elon Musk, has one of the most pronounced and profound schools of science, physics in the country, and psychology. University of Pennsylvania did a study about, what was it, about 10, hell, it's longer than 10 years ago. How old am I? About 15, 16 years ago, University of Pennsylvania did a study on consciousness. They wanted to find out what consciousness was. Well, let's go before them. The Egyptians said that when you go to sleep every night, as above, so below, everything, there's symmetry in everything. I believe that. And they said, when you go to sleep, deep REM sleep, you die and you go back to the original source. And every time.
Oh shit! Boy, you took it right out my mouth, boy.
And the Egyptians said, when you wake up, basically the Egyptians said, this is a dream world we're in right now. We're talking in a dream world. And when you go to sleep in deep REM, you go back home. When you die, you just go back home. And, okay, that's what the Egyptians said. So University of Pennsylvania did a study 15, 16 years ago on consciousness. Y'all can look this up. And they spent tons of millions of dollars trying to find out what happens to people. Where do we go when we're deep REM? Because when they attach us to the monitors and stuff, when you look at deep REM, it almost looks like a flat line, like we're dead. And millions of dollars later, University of Pennsylvania couldn't tell us. They didn't know where we went. Ladies and gentlemen, I've enjoyed y'all. We're going to pick this back up. We might have to talk about Antarctica, although I wouldn't have much to say. I think, Wani, would you be down for Antarctica space?
Sure.
There's some shit I want to know about. I'm hearing a lot of stories, and I've seen a lot of documents that said classified on them about Antarctica that I'm not going to talk about. What I will say is in Graham Hancock's book, Fingerprints of the Gods, he has I don't know if that document's declassified, but it's in his book. A document from the Air Force. Well, I'm not going to talk about that. But what he does have in the book is
no, Professor, no.
He has a book. He has a document in the book that was said to have been found at the Library of Alexandria. It's a map. It's called Perry Reese map. Y'all can look that up. It's P-I-R. I might be spelling it wrong. P-I-R-I-R-E-I-S map. There was a map found at the Library of Alexandria of Antarctica over 11,000 years ago. And in Antarctica, they had palm trees and fucking neighborhoods, kingdoms, elephants walking around Antarctica. It was tropical. So why did the ancestors in Africa have a map of Antarctica? Well, according to Graham Hancock and other scholars, the planet used to have a different rotation. Y'all know, you've learned in science that the planet Earth rotates on, what did you hear in elementary school? It rotates on its axis, right? It's leaning to the side. Antarctica is out the view of the sun. Well, what happened to the planet? Well, they take it off its axis. Well, according to Edgar Cayce, the sleeping prophet we brought up earlier, when the Atlanteans and the Lemurians went to war, they unleashed weapons of such magnitude, so much more powerful than than nuclear weapons, that the explosions from those mega weapons threw Earth off her axis and caused the last ice age. Now, that sounds like a lot of woo-woo, but the last ice age was 11,000 years ago, which lines up to everything that Edgar Cayce said and everything that science said. So what caused the last ice age? We don't know for sure, but what I do know for sure is scientists in Western America, what's the name of that country? Wyoming. They found an area that had woolly mammoth. It was a field full of woolly mammoth who all died instantly. The reason why we know this is because they had they opened up their stomachs and they found undigested food in their stomach, and some of them were blown to bits, pieces strewn everywhere. But the weird thing is, they were burnt. Some of them were burned and charred, and then instantly frozen. So could there have been a galactic war on planet Earth that unleashed weapons of high magnitude, high energy weapons that from the plumes from the mushroom clouds instantly caused an ice age? Was it hot and then started snowing? No way of knowing. But last thing I'm going to say about that is there was a cave outside that field where the woolly mammoths for miles lay dead and blown to bits. And inside the cave was the skeleton of a human being who was cowering in the corner like he was running from something, scared or something. And there was a saber-toothed tiger right next to him, curled up in a ball like it was scared of something. Now, according to scientists, tigers and human beings didn't exist in the same space because the tiger was his natural predator. That tiger and that man was running from something. What was that something? Could it have been a galactic war started by the Atlanteans? I don't know. But if it was, according to Edgar Cayce, the Atlanteans were corrupted by listening to an outsider. And the last thing I'm going to say is, could that outsider have been reptilian? I've enjoyed y'all tonight.
I want to end it. I want to say one more thing before you go.
Go ahead.
Why are there man-made structures in Antarctica covered by snow, such as like statues, like stones and stuff like that? So we'll save that for another space.
We'll talk about that. They always say that it's just a coincidence. They say that in China. They say that in Bosnia. So whenever you see something or catch something looking just like a pyramid, they'll just say it's all in your mind. So we'll talk about it, and we'll talk about the evidence that we have for it.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Oh, they can't deny the pictures that I got.
Oh,
but I'm going to end it there, man.
Oh, yeah. It's a lot of information on Antarctica. Germany was really obsessed with it. And yeah, we're gonna dive into that. But last thing, go ahead.
Did you are you about to close out? Can I ask one more question?
Go ahead, bro.
Hey, are you familiar with lucid dreams?
Not
Yes,
really.
I am.
Really. Go ahead, Wani. I'm not.
No, I am. We can have a room on. We can talk about those
we'll
things
talk about
on another room. Lucid dreams are very interesting.
Yeah, you can talk a little bit longer. My lady flew out of town for a minute, so I can talk a little less. Yeah, she had to go on a meeting.
When you mentioned about the people saying that when you go to sleep you die. When I was a kid, I had lucid dreams, and which is basically in a dream you wake up in your dream. So in my dreams, I would be dreaming about something, and something would be so ridiculous, or it'd be based on fear. I would wake up like there'll be like a flying snake, and like for some reason I would just know like it's a flying snake. That's not real. And instead of just waking up, I would be in my dream still, and so I would have these dreams so often as a child that they even got more vivid to a point where some lucid dreams will be more like crystalline in the dream. It would be more vivid in my dream than in reality. And it got to a point where I was able to taste food in my lucid dream, knowing that it was a dream.
Wow.
And I would wake up and I'd be like, if I could wake up there, because sometimes it's even realer there. If I could wake up there and know it's a dream, then could I wake up in reality And that just used to plague my mind as a child, because when I woke up in the dream, like you guys were talking about confidence, when you wake up in the dream, like, you know it's a dream, so all the the evil things, the monsters were nothing. They were just like toys. They would actually disappear, really, because, there's no point of them anymore. But I would always try to fly, and I was able to move things, create things. I can never fly, really. I can never get down flying for some reason. But it was just a phenomenon that I was just always weird. And then later on the internet, I could look it up, like, oh, it's a whole community of people who know about lucid dreams and stuff. But it's just something that just was really weird to me. And that's all I want to say. I just want to see if you had any knowledge on that, because you kind of break down, like, the phenomena I have, you break it down. Like, you can articulate, reference shit. Like, so I just want to know if you knew anything about that kind of stuff.
No, I don't know much about lucid dreams, but I have had one out-of-body experience and a whole bunch of strange occurrences after that, some of which I've documented. But Bobby Hemmitt, the late scholar, our scholar Bobby Hemmitt, if anybody knows how to get in contact with Bobby Hemmitt, please DM me. Somebody was on the space a couple weeks ago that knew him and never DM'd me like the information. I would love to talk to Bobby while he's alive. He's one of my heroes. But Bobby Hemmitt said years ago that, like I was saying about the Egyptians, said that this is the world we're in right now. Talking is a fake world. It's a dream, and the real world is the other world. Well, Bobby Hemmitt got scientific with that shit, and he said, if this was the real world, why does everything change? Like, he's like, nothing stays, like, nothing's solid here. Food rots, people die. You know what I'm saying? Buildings crumble. Like, nothing sticks around here. I thought that was a very interesting argument. Kind of like on a video game. Nothing kind of But there was a book. I can't think of the writer's name off the top of my head, but I'll tell you the name of the book. The book was called The Holographic Universe. I almost got his name in my head. But it's the only book written called The Holographic Universe. It was written by a PhD, real deep dude, whose thesis of his book was the world is fake. I mean, we could go on this shit for hours, but that was the thesis of the book, and it's really scientific and it's really compelling. And he died very mysteriously after he wrote that book.
What was the name of the book?
The Holographic Universe.
Bro, and Professor, like I was telling you, bro, when I had that ego death, that's the one.
It was Michael Talbot.
Michael Talbot.
Sorry, his name was
Michael Talbot.
That's the one thing it was telling me, is like, this shit is not real. And then I guess you get, prior to that, it was the lucid dreams. And then what I realized too, Professor, and what it told me was like, and this is what scares me about it, that I don't mean to freak anybody else out, is that I got from it was like, this is almost just entertainment. Like, we are God, but this is just entertainment for ourselves.
That whatever dream you had was something talking to you, because the Egyptians, in their origin story on the Shabaka stone, is gorgeous. Basically, Genesis in the Bible, I'm not going to say it's plagiarized, but it's very similar. And Genesis is said, in the beginning, God said, let there be light. Well, on the Shabaka stone, the Egyptians said, in the beginning it was darkness. Then the darkness began to breathe. Then the darkness realized it can do what it dreamed about. Let there be light. So basically, God, or the creator, woke up in the darkness, like, where am I? But the Egyptians said that life, after God woke up, or the creator, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, the all force, woke up, he created the Big Bang. He basically created the universe and then pushed himself into the universe to understand the nature of reality. Like, basically the Egyptians were saying that the creator created us, created this universe to understand, because he's curious. He's trying to understand what is the nature of reality. And we're part of that teaching mechanism. And if you think of creation that way, wow, how powerful is it for us to be here trying to help the creator understand what reality is? You know, it's a different way of looking at things. The Egyptians said that God, every last one of us, and just think of that bang. People say you have a soul, right? Look up Latin what does soul mean? Soul means son, right? The son of God. They talking about a soul. Well, the Egyptians said that every, I want to say, let me be careful with what I say. Every one of us, let's put it that way. Every one of us has a soul, and the soul is a little bitty son inside of us. Now, Nikki can back me up with this, because in your heart, Nikki, isn't there a spark that that comes off of some node in your heart, just that keeps your heart beating? It's like a spark, right?
I think it's the AV node.
There you go. There is a little bitty spark or flame inside of every last one of us. And to prove it, when you die, what they do, they shock you, right, to restart that spark. Now, that spark, according to the Egyptians, is your soul. Now, some people say your soul's in your head, but I'll tell you something very fucking interesting. Your Nikki, what's the that big vein from your heart that goes to your brain? Big artery. I don't know why I can't think of the name of it. It's the biggest artery in your body. Doggone it.
What's the aorta?
Aorta, or maybe, I don't know. It's the aorta, that big thing that goes to your brain. I watched this neuroscientist say that the aorta, that whatever, I think it's aorta, that sounds right. It goes to a part of your brain that connects, like basically, if you were able to turn yourself into a little person and sit in your pineal gland, you could look down into your heart at that little spark. So the point of me bringing that up is the Egyptians said that when the creator, like the Big Bang happened.
What you say? What kind of vein?
What?
What you say? What you say it goes from?
What I say? What?
The vein.
It goes from your heart to your pineal gland. It goes straight to your brain.
Is it the internal or carotid?
I don't know which one it's called, man. I'm not.
Yeah, it's the first one is aorta, and then the carotid. He's right. He was right. I couldn't come off my mic that fast, but he was right.
Aorta. Okay. Yeah. So my point of bringing that up is that if what the Egyptians said is true, that backs up what they said, because we're all like a little spark. During the Big Bang, God, according to the Egyptians, sent himself as little bitty sparks into the universe to try to understand the nature of the universe. So everybody in this room, well, let's just say most people in this room, are sparks of God trying to find out the nature of reality. And Bobby Hemmett, I'm paraphrasing our brother, said, we have a direct connection to the all. We have connections to Amenta was called heaven. Heaven was called Amenta by the Egyptians, which makes sense, because when you pray in church, what you say? Amen to Amenta. Well, basically, long story short, the Bobby Hemmett was saying, and I'm paraphrasing the hell out of Bobby, but he was saying something like these other groups of people, these beings and these people, you know what I'm talking about, them folk, keep us around because they're trying to figure out. And I think Brother the Brother Freedom said this too. They're keeping us around trying to figure out a way to get access to other dimensions that they don't have access to. We have access to the realm of our fathers, the realm of Amenta, heaven. And a lot of groups don't have access to that. And they're keeping us around to stay proximal to paradise. And that's where the jealousy comes from. It's just a theory, but it's an interesting theory. Ladies and gentlemen, I've really enjoyed y'all today. This has been one of my favorite spaces ever. We're going to pick this back up tomorrow. We're going to strategize. We might talk a little bit about Antarctica, but I'm going to tell you, I'm a little afraid of talking about stuff I don't know anything about. So I might have to do some research.